Hi, my name's Sarah Torres, and we're here today to promote the Vermont Filmmakers Showcase, which is a segment of the Vermont International Film Festival. Vermont Filmmakers Showcase is the largest and oldest presentation of Vermont-made films in the state, and it's an opportunity for Vermont filmmakers to screen their work in a cinematic environment, as well as to network with other filmmakers and audiences. All Vermont-made films are eligible to submit to the festival as long as they're produced within a year of the showcase. And this showcase is a juried event, and it offers a variety of prizes to those pieces who are selected for the screenings. And this year the screenings are October 20th and 21st, and it's free and open to the public. And so with me today are a few of the filmmakers who have made it into this year's showcase. So thank you for joining me. So if we could just start off with everybody introducing yourselves, how long you've been involved with the film festival, and the name of the piece that made it into the showcase. You start with Matt.
My name's Matt Day. I submitted a piece called Shape of Things to Come, which is a kind of look inside the life of a touring musician from when he's composing solo in his studio and his kids, and then bringing that to the live experience. And I got involved, I guess, with the festival last year. I had a piece of similar nature featuring local sculptor Clark Dervis, and kind of like a day with is the name of it, but basically just following around an artist and capturing their life.
Nice.
My name's Dennis Mueller, and the documentary I'm showing is Soldiers of Peace. It's 40 years of anti-war veterans. It basically focuses on the Vietnam veterans against the war, but not just them. Others are involved, including the Iraq veterans against the war. My first time with that, I've been in Vermont for a little over a year, and I finished this film like this year after a long time. And my first acquaintance with the Vermont Film Festival was in 2003 when Deb Ellis and I showed Howard's in You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train here, and had a delightful weekend.
My name is Pamela Preston. My film is A Ninth Life. It's a fiction piece. It's about a gentleman who has a very strange relationship with a young woman, and it ends up in a very bizarre situation, kind of a Twilight Zone type of thing. And as far as my involvement with the Vermont Film Festival, I attended a few times in its early infancy stages, and then I've been out and about since then, and this is my first entry. So.
My name is Mira Nyagalova, and the film that I submitted to the film festival is called Welcome to Vermont. Mm-hmm. It's a feature-length documentary about refugees who have recently resettled in Vermont. I've been working on this film with intermissions for the past 3 years, and now it's ready. I have been following 4 families, one from Iraq, from Rwanda, Somali Bantus, and Bosnians. So it is kind of in 4 chapters. And I've been involved with the festival for many years in different capacities. I had a film in 2002, long time ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been involved with the festival again for many, many years.
Great.
Yeah, and it's a great event.
My name's Michael Fisher. I wrote and directed the short film Stations. That's about a young man coming home from World War II and perceiving that the girl they left behind was disloyal, and the drama that ensues from that. I made a short film, Love of My Life, that won the James Goldstone Award at the festival back in 2000. And I think I might have missed a year or two in there, but I've tried to have a new piece in the festival every year since then. That's where I like to try and premiere new work.
My name is Vanessa Harris. I made a film called Midnight. It's a black and white thriller in the vein of The Twilight Zone. And I think I had a film a couple of years ago. I showed a film called Blue Yonder Ranch.
All Vermont-made films are eligible as long as they're produced within a year. And this year we've had a range from, student filmmakers to people who have been in the business for a long time. So I was wondering how many of you actually studied filmmaking? Do you, like, show of hands? Okay. And so I guess, Matt, how did you become involved with filmmaking if you didn't study it in school?
2 years ago, I had a DSLR camera, and I would just take lots of photos, and then I found out that they could do video. And I was like, can mine do that? No, it can't. So I got another one. I just got turned on to filmmaking, I guess, like really quickly. I've always loved watching films. It's like just what I love to do. And so I went to VCam and learned a lot from them in, I guess, the fall of 2010, and then in the winter of 2011, I made my first Naked Musicians, which is a series now featuring local musicians. I made my first video back then, 2011, and I've just been reading blogs and forums and tech magazines and going to VCam and just shooting incessantly, and I think that's been a good way to learn for me, but there's definitely fundamental knowledge that I'm missing that I'm still catching up on that I noticed that my peers have. So it's a battle.
Yeah. And how supportive have you found the film community in Vermont?
Incredibly supportive. I mean, it's such a small community, so anything that gets made, everyone is sort of aware of and is interested in and helps either with, it's very easy to find people to help with either the production or to help in getting it out there. So I've tried to screen work regularly at the Vermont International Film Festival. There's also the Green Mountain Film Festival in Montpelier, which is an excellent festival, and White River Indie Film Festival in White River Junction. Has been a great outlet for screening films as well.
And there are more and more venues now that we can have exposure, which is great. But basically, the festival became like a focal point, and we are very excited for this upcoming now because it's really the highlight of the year film around events. So, yeah.
It's especially nice that it's in one locale downtown rather than as spread out. That's one of the things I think the Vermont Film Festival missed, and it wasn't anyone's fault, but was the fact that filmmakers could meet in having a central screening area.
Yes, yeah. It's very important for all of us to be together for at least for a few days so we can watch our films and then talk afterwards. And it'll be a good feedback. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to watch all your films.
I was going to say, I'm looking forward to watching everybody's films too. I've been reading up on them. And
So what sort of inspiration do you guys pull from working in Vermont to put into your films?
The landscape, definitely. It's such a beautiful landscape, so you can really create some stunning visuals. But also, it's strange, but I've lived in a lot of different places, and if you want to shoot a period piece, that's usually not possible, especially I just moved from California before here, and that would be unthinkable. You couldn't frame out like the palm trees and the Spanish style, urban kind of thing. But here, if you want to do like a 1950s thing, that's actually possible. There are little diners, and it's kind of neat.
Well, I totally agree about that. I'm a native Vermonter, and I've done I've done between like 30 and 40 short films, and a lot of them are set in Vermont. But sometimes you just get inspired to explore some, other sort of geographic kind of feeling. So I've done films that are set in the South or the Midwest or like medieval Europe, and you can get all that in Vermont. So it's just kind of inspiring the diversity of beautiful settings out there.
And the ease of getting locations out here. Yeah. Definitely. I've worked in several different places, and some places it's really difficult to get locations. Out here, at least it's a lot more easier. Don't know exactly the word for it, but it's definitely compatible with film.
And people definitely aren't as jaded or as overexposed to film and filmmakers. I mean, that's what I really enjoy about here, that people get excited about every project that comes along, because it's not happening every day.
Right.
So it's good to get people to help in that way, because they still get really excited about movie making.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is my first, I've done films for many years, but this is my first film made in Vermont. Mm-hmm. And the access is just incredible. And you're right, people are getting excited and they want to help, and they give you additional access. So for me, it was really, really great experience. Yeah.
Bouncing off of that, what are some challenges that you tend to face when you film in Vermont?
I do have one for that. Yeah. I was saying that, it's great, it's a smaller film community, everybody knows everybody and gets excited about each other's projects. One aspect of it being sort of the smaller film community that I would love it to be a larger community is just in terms of actors, really. That can be a real challenge in projects. And I mean, maybe they're out there and I don't know about them, but it's nice to have a really, a large pool of talented actors to kind of draw on. And I hope that some people who might be interested in acting in film, check this out, come to the screenings, check out the films, introduce themselves, get their information on the Vermont Film Commission website. There's like an actors kind of database on there. I would just love to hear about more of those folks that might be out there.
See, I have the opposite problem of him. I can find all the actors. I just finding the crew for me has been difficult. So,
Very difficult.
and I think because I've been out of Vermont for so long and then coming back too, I'm not connected, and so people don't know me or my work. Whereas you've been here all your life, so you pretty much have established yourself. So for somebody coming in, it's a little bit more difficult. Now, I grew up in Vermont, but a lot of the people that I know are living somewhere else. So, so it's a challenge. But actors come out of the woodwork for me, so I have no problem with that.
Slightly different working in documentaries. Like Mira has a micro to macro story. Because immigration is an issue all throughout the country. And in a story that I'm doing is, up in Canada, which the proximity helps too. This took place all over, mostly in Chicago, but one of the problems in documentaries is kind of a weird paradox, is that documentary filmmaking thrives in places where there's problems. And while there's problems here, it doesn't, if you wanted to set out and look at the urban problems in the United States and say like, oh man, violence, let's say, being formerly from Chicago, you don't have to go far, But in Vermont, you have to look for, like Mira did in her story, a mic, and I haven't seen your film, but with local people coming to Vermont, I'm kind of imagining it, a local story that will appeal nationally, and it's
You can find everything.
No, yes, I'm sure.
You can find dramatic story as dramatic as they can be. If we can find trafficked women here in Vermont, I did a film about trafficking 15 years
that's
ago.
Very much my interest. I should talk to you later.
Yeah. And now there are two very big state organizations here against trafficking. And I said, what? And they're asking me to show my film, which of course I'll give them to show it for their seminars or conference. In Vermont, trafficking? Oh yeah. And it's not only this one story that happened a few years ago. I don't know if you remember this, but anyway. So yeah, I don't want to go on this side team, but there is a lot of stories in Vermont to be told.
But what advice would you guys have for people who are interested in becoming a filmmaker, whether they're younger? Don't.
What? Have a real
And why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I think for people that already have that spark, and I come from a unique point of view because I'm very new to this, and I don't have traditional background in filmmaking. But I think if you have that interest, and it's just with anything, is pick up the phone and ask for what you want. Like, call that actor you want to work, or call that person you want to like help you with the project, and just ask. Because if you just ask, things will happen. I started emailing artists that, you know, I had no recognition, and I was like, can I shoot a video of you? And they're touring across the country, and it's like, if you just, and they're like, sure, yeah, you want to make a video of me? Like, great. It's like, you might be intimidated at first, but you should just like pick up the phone and make happen what you want to have happen. And I think then you just start being inspired by like, oh, the ball's rolling, so I can do this. I can, like, the gear and the crew can be found in those manners, and by calling. And
I mean, in terms of the, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Pick a subject you can live with if you're a documentary filmmaker, and for others too, because it takes an enormously long period of time. Mira was talking about like 3 years. This, for all sorts of reasons, took way long time, but I'm working on another film that's going on 6 years. Previous film before that was 6 years. I'm picking up a film right now that's, you know, was set down by someone like 15 years ago. So make sure you pick a subject that you're interested in, and that years down the road you'll still be interested in, because it takes a long time from the moment you have an idea to the moment that it's out there. It isn't like playing harmonica or writing a tune. I wish I could did that, you know, get immediate gratification.
Yeah, and also when you're just starting out, one thing to remember is you tend to be a little hard on yourself, because usually what happens is you make a very interesting first film, then you make a couple crappy films, then you learn, and then you start making, you hone your skills and everything, and then you start making pretty good films again. And one very important thing to realize is that it's not always like what you envision in your head is what you see on the screen. You know what I mean? You have to learn how to shoot that. You have to get the lighting just so. You have to. There's so many elements that you have to really, you know, learn how to get into there. And I think a lot of people think they can point a camera and make magic happen. No, there's so many technical things that you need to learn how to, you know, how to position things, how to get the actors to do just this. So there's like a whole lot of work. I think people think it's fun. This is a hugely difficult. You know, I love it, but I mean, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into what
And
we
you
do.
have to be flexible too, because in my case, on my film, I actually had to rewrite a couple of scenes during production. Right after we were done shooting, the lead actor and the AD and myself sat up and we just hammered out a new script, because we lost 2 of our locations and had to come up with a new storyline to fit what we've already shot. So you also have to be flexible, and you have to be willing to spend long hours working. So
You got to be a good problem solver. If you want to be a filmmaker, it's just all solving problems. That's pretty much.
I mean, that being said, I guess a film is going to be what it's going to be, but a lot of the films in the festivals here, the Vermont films, are short films. And it can be a really good idea, instead of jumping in with your first project, to do, you know, the feature film. Start with some shorts, so you can keep it a little more focused, more manageable, and make sure you're getting what you want and getting the quality performances and visuals.
What was one of the most memorable moments during filming of your piece in the showcase?
for me, it was one of the locations that we had lost. We ended up in a graveyard, and every production I've been on, I've been in a graveyard.
Really?
And I'm tired of being in a graveyard. I like to shoot something without one for a change. So that was interesting.
This is my favorite scene I ever shot in Soldiers of Peace, and it was done a long time ago. And it was in 1986, and there was one of these Welcome Home Vietnam to Vietnam veterans parades that were going on across the country. There was up over 100,000 people there. I was with the Vietnam Veterans Against the War, just kind of shooting it and knowing where they were going to walk into Grant Park in Chicago, right across the street from the scene of the '68 convention. They all kind of poured into when this lifer, I call him a lifer because, you know, he's in the service 2 times from the Korean War, is talking about, oh, I would go back there and do that again, these cultures. And there's this African-American guy, this black guy comes up, and he's indignant. And he goes, I would not do that again. I would never do that again. And it was so impromptu. He had so much dignity in refuting this guy's argument. And it caught the contradictions and the differences within the veterans community so well that those are one of those special moments in documentaries when, oh, I don't have to say anything. It's catching everything. Just let it happen. And you know, it's my favorite scene to this day.
Like every imaginable thing happened right before I went. Somehow, like everyone has a meltdown right before you shoot. So, like the day before, and I loved the shoot. There were a lot of good times. But the day before, I think it started with my actress had an absolute meltdown, a graphic 5-hour meltdown, saying that she looked fat and she didn't know if she wanted to be on camera, blah blah blah. So I had to calm her down, and then my account was got frozen for no reason, and I had $30, and I was like, I can't shoot a film with $30. And what else happened? Oh, I mean, just everything imaginable happened. But when we went out to shoot, it was great because it really came together really beautifully, and we really shot some beautiful scenes. So it was memorable in the sense that it started out terribly, and then it went into like this fantastic place, and it was just, you know, the actors loved it, and we all just had a great time. So.
This was a really interesting, memorable productions for Stations. I guess every film I do is an element of it is you kind of create a world in the film that you enjoy spending time in. You just sort of want to live in that world for a little while. And most of the films I've done are influenced by other films I've seen somehow, but usually kind of more subtly and subconsciously, like it's in there somewhere and comes out. But this is the first time I've done one that was very much trying to emulate a certain style of film, and that was this sort of 1950s Hollywood big epic kind of melodramas like East of Eden, and there's this Vincent Minnelli film, Some Came Running. And this was just particularly interesting, and just to really try and emulate and kind of create that world and to almost like live in it for a little while and create the costumes and find the places that sort of matched what my impression of those films was a really cool experience to have.
I guess my film's very, very intimate. It's kind of like last year's pieces. I just follow somebody around very, very closely, and I have the camera rolling during dinner or when he's playing with his kids or doing his kids' homework. And then, so I got to really like get to know him very, very quickly, Nick Zamuda. And to go back 6 months later, which is where he picked up, we only shot for 4 days total. And to just see how far he had gone with his music and like the transition from his last band, The Books, to his new group, and just to like really have an insider look into the way somebody operates and somebody who's a role model for a lot of people was extremely rewarding. And he's just so incredibly grateful also. That's a nice payoff, is like when your subject recognizes it as a cooperative effort and gives it back and helps you promote the film. And we've been getting a lot of traction lately, so it's been very, very rewarding.
Yeah. For me, same as Matt, and I was following 4 families, so entering into their lives was quite something for me, and following them for a few years. So this was a very, very rewarding experience.
And what do you guys hope audiences will take away from attending the showcase? And what would you like to say to encourage people to come?
We all kind of speak to each other, you know, with the films, and it really creates a sense of community, and because it's local, and why, you know, we encourage ourselves to eat local food, or why don't we just watch our films so we understand each other better?
Couldn't say it better than that.
Very good.
Great. Well, thank you guys for coming to help me promote the Vermont Filmmakers Showcase. And again, it's going to be October 20th and 21st. You can find out more information on our website, which is VTIFF.org, and that will have the full schedule. And we hope to see everybody at the showcase.